Good morning, students. Today we are going to start part 3 of the chapter Towns, Traders and Craftspersons. Dear students, in this video we'll study about traders big and small and crafts in towns. Traders big and small. Let's start this topic. Some traders were big, some were small. It doesn't mean that they were big in size or small in size. Big traders were those traders who used to carry the things in large amount and plenty of amount for the international market, carried the things from the production unit to the ports, and small traders used to have the trade on small scale. So let's start. There were many kinds of traders. These included Banjaras. Several traders, especially horse traders, formed associations with headmen who negotiated on their behalf with warriors who bought horses. So here one thing is very important, that traders had their unions or like that associations. For example, horse traders formed their associations, and the head of these associations used to negotiate on the behalf of the traders, right, with warriors, those who used to buy horses. I hope that you are understanding. These 4 lines are very important, since traders had to pass through many kingdoms and forests, because at that time there were no means of transport technologically developed. For example, no aeroplanes, no trains, no roads, no buses. So they usually traveled in caravans, because they wanted to avoid any kind of mishappenings with them. The people, various kinds of people used to hide in the forest, and they used to attack on traders. They used to loot them, and in this way these kinds of incidents were very common at that time. So during the traveling, the traders used to be in caravans and formed guilds to protect their interest. Guilds were the powerful groups of traders. There were several such guilds in South India from the 8th century onwards. After 8th century means 710, 720, and even after the third decade of 8th century, the most famous being the Manigramam and Nanadesi. You have to remember, these were two examples. These guilds traded extensively both within the peninsula as well as in Southeast Asia and China. It means in within the country, in the peninsula, and out of the country, Southeast Asia and China. Clear? And these were the examples of guilds: Manigramam and Nanadesi. There were also communities like the Chettiars and Marwari Oswal. These were the names of communities, still they are, who went on to become the principal trading groups of the country. Gujarati traders, including the communities both Gujarati traders, in which we can see the name of Hindu Banyas and Muslim Bohras. Both were Gujarati traders. They traded extensively with the ports of the Red Sea, Persian Gulf, East Africa, Southeast Asia, and China. So you have to remember, dear students, Muslim Bohras and Hindu Banyas used to have the trade with the external parts of the country, from the country, Red Sea, Persian Gulf, East Africa, Southeast Asia, and China. They sold textiles and spices, because textiles and spices were very famous from India to the international market, because good quality of textile was there, used to be produced in India. And for spices, India was very famous for a long time. So after that, you can see, in exchange brought gold and ivory from Africa, because in Africa elephants were found in plenty of amount, and other kinds of spices, tin, Chinese blue pottery, silver from Southeast Asia and China. So these things were carried by the traders, and these things uh, were exported. So import and export in this way was there at that time by the Indian traders. The towns on the west coast were home to Arab, Persian, Chinese, Jewish, Syrian Christian traders. Indian spices and cloth sold in Red Sea ports were purchased by Italian traders. The traders from Italy, they used to purchase these things, spices and clothes from India, and eventually reached European markets, fetching very high profits. Spices grown in tropical climates, for example, pepper and cinnamon and nutmeg, dried ginger, etc., became an important part of European cooking, and cotton cloth was very attractive. So, in this way, we can say that spices from India and clothes became very important in the international market, especially in Europe. The people were attracted towards the clothes from India, and the spices from India became very important part of the food in Europe. So this eventually drew European traders to India, and European traders started to come to India to take these kinds of very essential commodities which were important for Europeans. We will shortly read about how this changed the face of trading and towns. Let's see about Kabul. With its rugged mountainous landscape, Kabul in present day Afghanistan, it is now in Afghanistan, became politically and commercially important from the 16th century. 16th century means from 1500 to 1600 BC. 16th century onwards, Kabul and Kandahar both are very important, who are linked to the celebrated Silk Route. Kabul and Kandahar were connected to Silk Route. Silk Route was the route through which the European traders and the international traders used to come to India, and they carried silk. Besides, trade in horses was primarily carried on through this route. In the 17th century, Jean Baptiste Tavernier, a diamond merchant, estimated that the horse trade at Kabul amounted to rupees 30,000 annually. This was a huge sum in those days. Today you can see that 30,000 very small amount, but at that time you can imagine, before approximately 400 years ago, right, 30,000 was very big amount. Camels carried dried fruits, dates, carpets and silks, and even fresh fruits from Kabul to subcontinent and elsewhere. Slaves were also brought here for sale. Slaves were the people who were arrested and who were bounded by the people and purchased from other people, and slaves were fully liable to their masters. They were considered as just as property, not as human beings. Slaves were not treated as human beings. After that, crafts in towns. It's a very simple topic. The craft persons of Bidar, now it is situated in Karnataka, Bidar, were so famed for their inlay work in copper and silver that it came to be called Bidri. The Panchalas or Vaishwakarma community, consisting of goldsmiths, bronzesmiths, blacksmiths, masons, carpenters. These people were considered in the community of Panchalas or Vaishwakarma. They were essential to the building of temples, because without the help of these people, temple were not possible to be built. They also played an important role in construction of palaces of for the king, big buildings, tanks, reservoirs. Similarly, weavers such as Saliyar and Kaikolars. These are the two examples of weavers. You have to remember, these are the examples of weavers, those who used to weave the threads and make the textiles. Emerged as prosperous communities, making donations to the temples, Some aspects of cloth making like cotton, cleaning, spinning and dyeing became specialized and independent crafts. So in this way, crafts were there in the towns. You can see this image. It is very beautiful image of the craft. A shawl border you can see here, 17th century. Here this is the candle stand, 17th century candle stand, brass with black overlay you can see, and this one is shawl border. It is. So dear students, this is the box, last one of this video. The changing fortunes of town. Some towns like Ahmedabad, now it is situated in Gujarat, went on to become major commercial cities, but others like Tanjore shrank in size and importance over the centuries. Ahmedabad became very important because it was famous for the textile and the production of other essential commodities. Murshidabad also became very important in West Bengal on the banks of Bhagirathi, which rose to prominence as a center for silks and became the capital of Bengal in 1704. Declined in course of the century as the weavers faced competition from cheap mill-made cloth from England. You have to understand this sentence that Murshidabad became very important till the 18th century, but after that the weavers in Murshidabad faced hard competition from the clothes made in Manchester or in the mills or the industries in England, because industrial clothes or textile was very attractive and cheap, clear, but handmade clothes were very expensive and not so attractive in comparison of machine made clothes. So dear students, in the next video we'll discuss about Hampi, Masulipatam and Surat. So you have to revise the chapter by reading the textbook in PDF form. Thank you. Have a nice day.